According to Pew Research, Christianity is currently the world's most populous religion. However, it seems that many Christians today lack confidence in their ability to defend their faith or do not even know why they are Christian. This essay hopes to provide a simple and general defense of Christianity. This essay does not hope to provide a thorough and in-depth explanation of every reason why one should be Christian, but merely a general defense of the religion. Such a long and thorough explanation of every reason why one should be a Christian could not fit into such a video. Merely, it could not fit into writing or anything at all. Truly, because God is transcendent, and because, therefore, the reasons to believe in this transcendent God must transcend even our human capacity for reason and thought. So, how can one know that there is a God? Or, in the words of question 2 of the Westminster Larger Catechism, how doth it appear that there is a God? The response given in the Catechism being, the very light of the nature in man and the works of God declare plainly that there is a God, but his word and spirit only do sufficiently and effectually reveal him unto men for their salvation. In other words, all men naturally know that there is a God because of the works of God, especially his creation. Or, as Paul writes in Romans 1:20, for his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world and the things that have been made. So, they are without excuse. In Job 12:7-9, Job makes it clear that God has made his work obvious. But ask the beasts, and they will teach you, the birds of the heavens, and they will tell you, or the bushes of the earth, and they will teach you, and the fish of the sea will declare to you. Who among all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? While there are many more verses on this, John 1 also touches on this topic in a very direct manner by saying that Jesus was the Logos in the beginning with God. Logos was not only some literal word, but also reason in of itself. Jesus was the very reason for the creation of the world that became flesh to live among mankind. Behind this thinking is the idea of what is commonly referred to by Christians today as the cosmological and teleological arguments. As first formally explained by Thomas Aquinas and William Paley, these arguments basically make the following claims. The cosmological argument goes as follows. The cosmos exists as a natural material thing. All natural material things have beginnings. All natural material things with beginnings must have causes. There cannot be an infinite amount of causes of material natural elements. The cosmos must be caused by a supernatural, immaterial, uncaused person or thing. The supernatural, immaterial, uncaused person that caused the cosmos is known today as God. The teleological argument is as follows. Because of the intricacy and co-adaptedness of its parts to perform a function, a watch had to have been designed by an intelligent being. The eye shows a similar intricacy and adaptedness of parts necessary to perform its function. By analogy with the watch, the eye must have had an intelligent designer. Such examples of design in nature can be multiplied at will, offering independent and cumulative testimony of an intelligent designer. While these historic Christian arguments provide a great deal of reason to believe in a God, they are not near enough to claim that out of the thousands of gods that people have worshipped through all time, the Christian God is the true and living God. These arguments simply provide reasons to believe that some sort of God exists, ruling out any type of atheism. But what God exists? How can one know that it is the Christian God, if it really and truly is the Christian God? The Westminster Catechism makes it clear that no one can know God unless it is by his Spirit or by his Word. Since his Spirit is not a visible or material thing, it cannot be either directly and explicitly proven to any materialist without the demonstration of the validity of the Word. So, to prove Christianity, one must simply seek out the sacred scriptures known today as the Bible. But is it not circular reasoning to say that the God of the Bible is the true God because the Bible says that he is? While it is most certainly circular reasoning, it should be admitted that even circular reasoning is sometimes valid. For example, one only knows about Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, Herod, and every other historical person to walk about the earth only through the sources of people who believe that these people actually existed in the way that people believe them to have existed today. Even someone alive today can only attest to be the person that they are by people who truly believe that they are who they are. No one can say they believe President Biden is the President of the United States and simultaneously believe that he is not. So, is the testament of this person that believes President Biden is the president invalid in virtue of the fact that he believes that Biden is president? Seeing as his belief is grounded in a common consensus of historical sources, his belief is completely valid despite the circular reasoning behind his claim. For the same reason, one can know that the Bible, God, is truly God by the authors of the Bible. Then, what makes the Bible any more reliable than the other popular religious texts of today or the past? Take some of the other most popular religious texts of today that are also some of the most well-known, namely the Book of Mormon or the Quran, for example. One quick look at all of these sources, and it becomes clear that the Bible is significantly more valid than any of these sources. Both of these texts are written or recited by people who were witnessed by multiple people to have encounters with spiritual beings and be granted their accounts by these spiritual beings. Now, the Christian should note that he or she does not need to deny the spiritual encounters of these peoples to validate the Bible while simultaneously invalidating the other religious texts such as the Book of Mormon and Quran. While the Bible does make claims to spiritual experiences, it does not make historical claims solely off of any type of spiritual being. The Bible has thousands of years of oral tradition and first-hand accounts of its own happenings to back itself up. While, on the other hand, neither Joseph Smith nor Muhammad or any of these other founders of religions have any sort of oral tradition or first-hand accounts of most, if not all, of their religious texts and the stories behind them. Joseph Smith was handed down golden tablets that had not a single person to validate their history by first-hand account or oral traditions. No one at his time could attest to have seen any of the happenings recorded in the Book of Mormon, nor did they have any sort of account of its happenings passed down from their ancestors. The same goes for the Quran. Muhammad did not recite the Quran based on any valid oral tradition or first-hand account, but solely based on his trusting of the Spirit that granted it to him. This begs the question, what is the validity of the Spirit that handed it to him? Compare this with the Bible. The entirety of the Bible, except for the possibility of the book of Job and Jonah, even those being possibilities based only on theological convictions, were attested to by either first-hand witnesses of the events that were recorded or authors that recorded what was passed down to them from a reliable process of oral tradition. Now, it should be noted that this process of oral tradition cannot be likened to the game of telephone in the slightest, especially when considering the culture that passed down these stories orally. But even this is for an entirely different topic that can be discussed at length later on in a different video. Finally, let Christians take the New Testament as a prime example of this. There are 4 accounts to the life, death, burial, resurrection, and ascension of Jesus. All of these accounts are by 4 different people who experienced most of what they wrote about firsthand. For what was not written firsthand was taken from other firsthand witnesses. They claim that there were even hundreds more firsthand witnesses to what they wrote about. Even the Gospel account of Luke is written as a compilation of a great deal of sources that witnessed the life of Jesus. The same cannot be said for the other religious texts. This reasoning is entirely sufficient for someone to believe that Jesus was the unique Son of God who lived on this earth, died, was buried, was resurrected, and ascended. For the same sort of reasoning, it is used to back up the claim that the historical person of Plato, Aristotle, and Alexander the Great lived and did what people today believe that they did. Today, people take it as a given fact that these people did exactly what people throughout history have taken these people to have done only because of historical sources that speak of their lives. But even the people who wrote about their lives were not threatened and eventually put to death for making the historical claims that they did. All but one of the 13 apostles that claimed to have seen Jesus firsthand were put to death in violent and gruesome ways for merely testifying to his life. This raises the question for why they were even put to death if this Jesus was merely a fable. And why would Christianity have such a positive reception in such a short time after Jesus' ascension if the Jesus that the apostles attested to living during their own lives was a fable? And why would these Christians also face terrible persecutions for their faith in this supposed fable? The non-Christians seemed offended by this logic often goes on to bring up how Islam and Mormonism spread. But again, these religions were only attested to by one spiritual being. And the rebuttal that even terrorists die for their religion all the time is totally insufficient, as none of the terrorists that die for their religion have any first-hand account or oral tradition of the beginnings of their religion, nor do they have any way to trace its origins and the stories that its origins support. In conclusion, Christianity is not only a valid religion, but even a religion that has its roots in history. The Bible is a credible source that stands on its own as an argument more than sufficient to prove Christianity true. While there are certainly rebuttals made by all communities, theistic and atheistic alike, this video is merely a general overview of reasons to believe in the Christian God. Certainly, many essays to come hope to explore these other counterexamples and arguments in depth.